Security officers have clashed with protesters outside the Milimani law courts during the appearances of detained software developer Rose Njeri and Tanzanian Governor George Natembeya in a corruption case. Among those arrested are activists Julius Kamau and Felix Sialo, who is Governor Natembeya's communications director. In a statement, DAP-K party has announced that the officers associated with Natembeya have been forcefully abducted outside Milimani law courts. Meanwhile, the court has directed the office of the DPP to furnish the defense with all evidence it intends to rely on in the case against Tanzanian Governor George Natembeya. The directive comes after the prosecution admitted it failed to comply with the previous court order requiring the disclosure of materials in the case. The prosecution, through State Counsel Victor Awiti, requested an additional 2 weeks to comply, citing challenges in accessing documents from the Tanzania County offices. However, the defense strongly opposed the application, terming it an abuse of the court process. In its ruling, the court ordered the prosecution to disclose all relevant materials by June 16th, 2025, when the matter will be mentioned. Governor Natembeya is facing 3 counts of unlawful acquisition of public property, conflict of interest, and indirectly benefiting from public funds.
Pearl Newsbeat.
Meanwhile, Rose Njeri, detained for allegedly creating a website for Kenyans to give their views regarding the Finance Bill 2025, is set to be arraigned in court. The Law Society of Kenya is gearing up to offer legal representation to Njeri, who has been detained at the Pankani police station since last week. LSK President Faith Odhiambo asked the fellow LSK members to be vigilant as they try to identify which court Rose Njeri will be presented.
A lawyer, Sam, who has been there throughout, one of the lawyers for the Law Society of Kenya, was representing her, was here some few minutes past 7:30. We need to be told she had just been picked up. So we are trying to follow up and find out where she has been taken and where she shall be arraigned. And so we also ask our advocates in whichever courts that she will be in today, please be vigilant so that if Rose is brought before whichever court, alert us so that we'll be able to ensure that she's well represented.
Pearl Newsbeat.
Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja has vowed to continue following up on city dwellers who fail to pay their land rates and dues in a renewed push to ramp up City Hall budget. Sakaja says City Hall will not be distracted with the dissenting voices opposing the eviction of defaulters, whom he accuses of derailing the county's development agenda. According to Sakaja, City Hall will not hesitate to clamp down on any defaulters at the expense of failing to deliver services to city dwellers. He was speaking during the issuance of the industrial area police housing projects.
We want roads, we want water, we want services. Everybody must pay their part. So Excellency, ukisikia nduru hii mwezi, please watch it. Everybody must do their part. And I'm very happy, PS Kipto, we've been corresponding. Because for a long time, national government was not paying the county what we call SILO, contribution in lieu of rates. All of this is to provide services to the people. But it is not fair. I know you saw me clamping the Freemason building. But it is not fair that Mama Mboga pays every day her 50 shillings, 100 shillings. But you on your 2 acres in Karen, you in your apartment in Kileleshwa do not pay your part. I think everybody must do their part so that we can deliver to the people.
Pearl Newsbeat.
At the same time, President William Ruto has clapped back at critics of his flagship affordable housing project touted to bring dignity to slum dwellers. Speaking when opening the industrial area police housing project in Nairobi, Ruto accuses critics of propelling the Matthew effect of accumulated advantage.
I know there are so many people asking questions why their maid will now stay in 11th floor on a house that eventually belongs to them. You know, they find it difficult to configure why their watchman all of a sudden will be discussing mortgage just like them. You know, I mean, that's how we carry everybody and we leave nobody behind. Only that his mortgage will be 3,000, your mortgage may be 50,000, but you know it's a mortgage anyway. So, and we are all discussing the same thing. So really, that is the problem I have with some people. They are wondering why I have all of a sudden gotten the people who would not ordinarily be in that space to be in that space. But
The project involves construction of 210 housing units to accommodate officers attached to the CBK. The officers will occupy the housing units in a month's time. The project is part of the Memorandum of Understanding entered into between CBK and the National Police Service in December 2018.
Pearl Newsbeat.
Kajiado North Member of Parliament Onesimus Ngongoyo has criticized the national government over unfulfilled promises made for development projects, some of which include the 65 kilometers Maasai Road water projects, among others. He says that despite the president announcing that they will be fulfilled within a year, the projects have not yet been completed, while others have not yet begun.
Rais mwenyewe alikuja pale tukifungua mabarabara, gavana mwenyewe ulikuwa, nyumba zinaitwa Serenity, tukamweleza hizi nyumba ni nyingi sana, na gavana mwenyewe you raised a case ya mambo ya sewerage ya Ongata Rongai kwamba tutakuwa na maji lakini maji haya yatakuwa maji machafu. Rais mwenyewe akasema atapanga mambo ya sewerage, na baada ya mwaka mmoja maji ya kutoka Ndaka in 4 months, and it was 2022 November, tutakuwa tunakunywa maji ya Ndakaine. County Commissioner, maji ya Ndakaine bado haijafika.
Pearl Newsbeat.
Uriri MP Mark Nyamita has urged activists to practice restraint as they visit nations within the EAC bloc to avoid being met with hostility. According to the MP, activists should do due diligence to understand the restrictions provided by law in neighboring nations before setting foot on foreign soil. This comes after Kenya's activist Boniface Mwangi and Uganda's Agatha Atuhaire narrated their harrowing ordeal of how they were subjected to sexual assault and physical torture by TZ authorities.
The region as it is, we are East African, but Kenyans are not Tanzanians. These regimes are totally different. But I think that the heads of state within the East African region, not only the 3 countries, but the region, including Rwanda and all the other countries within the East African region, and Africa at large, need to come together and agree on certain ways of treating our citizens. Because, for example, the discussion that actually took place in the Tanzanian parliament might appear a small thing, but it has a potential of bringing in a lot of issues between the 2 countries. The speech that was given by our Tanzanian colleagues in their parliament, trying to, belittle us and call us names, call us that, we are a bad-mannered country and all those sort of things, has a great potential because there are many Kenyans who are doing business across the border, and there are many Tanzanians who are doing business who live also here.
The church has also weighed in on the deportation of Kenyans, activists and political leaders from the country and blamed the government for fueling the torture faced by some Kenyans in the hands of Tanzanian authorities. Provost at the All Saints Cathedral, Reverend Canon Evans Omolo, condemned the state for remaining silent and accused the Foreign Affairs CS Musalia Mudavadi of failing to defend Kenyans when they were in the masses of other foreigners.
What happened in Tanzania to our fellow Kenyans is indeed regrettable. Regrettable on very many fronts. One, that the government, especially Ministry of Foreign Affairs, did not in any way make any attempt to seek to understand why these Kenyans were abducted, why they were detained without charge, and what offense they had committed. In bilateral relations, as much as you'd want to maintain diplomacy, first and foremost, your loyalty is to your citizens. And therefore, we expected PS Sing'oei, Minister, and the rest to issue a statement demanding peace of those Kenyans. And therefore, it's indeed worrying. Most unfortunately,
the 2 leaders were speaking this morning at a local media.
Pearl Newsbeat.
Father-filled Dominicans who lost family members in the April nightclub disaster that claimed 234 lives will receive emergency payments of some $500 per month for the next 6 months, according to the government in Santo Domingo. The roof of the Jet Set Club came crashing down in the early hours of April 8th on hundreds of people attending a concert by Meriguez star Ruby Perez in the Caribbean nation worst disaster in decades. Perez was among the victims, along with the 2 retired Major League Baseball players and a provisional governor. Gloria Reyes, the director of the social program Superit, said that a monthly payment of 30,000 pesos, approximately $509, will be made to qualifying relatives starting next week. An investigation into the tragedy is ongoing, and relatives have filed more than 50 lawsuits against the nightclub owners.
Pearl Radio, the home of fresh and classic hits.